The Mandalorian's run on Disney Plus is reportedly coming to an end, with the third season being the final one. But this might just mean that the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is the beginning of a Mando trilogy.
Let's go! Let's go.
So no, this news is not the end of the world. Djarin and Grogu will live on. The Mandalorian and Grogu is filming right now and is set to hit theaters on May 22nd, 2026, bringing Djarin and his little friend to the big screen for the first time ever. However, many fans thought this movie would be followed by a fourth season of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, but that is no longer the case, as this report from Daniel Richtman says the Mandalorian series will not continue on Disney Plus after the release of the Mando and Grogu movie. But I cannot emphasize this enough. This is just a rumor for now, so take this with a giant grain of salt because things can change and do change all the time when it comes to Star Wars projects. So a possible Mando Season 4 is not out of the realm of possibility, but these reports are suggesting that it won't happen. And things may change, but as of right now, it seems more likely that The Mandalorian will stick to the big screen rather than go back to Disney Plus. Now on the surface, this sounds like bad news. No more Mandalorian on Disney Plus? We won't be getting a 4th, 5th, 6th season of arguably the best live-action Star Wars show? But once you dig a little deeper, this news could mean something far greater for this character of Din Djarin. Because after the sequel trilogy ended in 2019 with the release of The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars went away from the big screen, and to this day, it's only existed on the streaming platform Disney Plus. But back in 2019, when Disney Plus launched, it launched with The Mandalorian Season 1. And immediately, this Mandalorian and his little green friend became fan-favorite characters. However, at the time, this was a big risk, introducing a baby version of a Yoda character. One of the most mysterious characters in Star Wars doesn't even have a species name. It could have gone very poorly, especially because they used a puppet for Grogu instead of CGIing him like they did with Yoda in the prequel trilogy. And the cherry on top was with the advertisements for The Mandalorian Season 1, they didn't involve Grogu at all, leaving his reveal at the end of Episode 1 a complete surprise to audiences. But because the geniuses behind the show, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, who we'll get to in a second, it immediately became a hit. And after 3 seasons still, to this day, it is the most viewed live-action show on Disney Plus. And that's not just Star Wars, that's everything. So it was a no-brainer to have the return to the big screen be of baby Grogu and his dad. But fans, myself included, wanted to see more of these characters on Disney Plus. Because yeah, seeing Star Wars on a big screen the way it's always meant to be is awesome. But with these Disney Plus shows, you have 8 episodes of about 30 to 45 minutes, meaning you are spending so much more time with these characters in the world of Star Wars with a Disney Plus show rather than a movie. With one, you can spend about 5-6 hours with the characters. In the other, you're spending only 2.5 to 3. So you only get to spend half the time with these characters in this galaxy far, far away. So a lot of fans are upset that we won't be getting a 4th season of The Mandalorian. But likely another reason for this possible decision of not greenlighting a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th season of The Mandalorian is because of the current state on Disney Plus. Mandalorian Season 3 itself wasn't received as well as the first 2 seasons. And if you look at the most recent project on Disney Plus, The Acolyte, Disney is probably concerned that something similar would happen with a 4th season of The Mandalorian, coming in before the premiere at 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, before the audience ever saw a single second of the show. But what if I told you there was another option here?
No, there is another.
Maybe after the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, The Mandalorian will not be on Disney Plus anymore. But that does not mean it's the end of Din Djarin and Grogu's characters, as this Mando and Grogu movie might be the beginning of a Mando trilogy.
This is where the fun begins.
Now, before you just say,
Mike, stop fanboy dreaming. There's no way they're going to make a Mando trilogy.
hear me out. Last year at Star Wars Celebration in 2023, there were 3 Star Wars movies announced. A Rey movie following Daisy Ridley 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker, a Dawn of the Jedi movie directed by James Mangold, who brought us one of the greatest superhero films of all time in Logan, and Dave Filoni directing a Mando-verse movie. It was described to be a combination of all these Disney Plus shows that take place in the Mando-verse time period, from The Mandalorian to The Book of Boba Fett to Ahsoka to Skeleton Crew. And that was it. Those were the 3 movies announced at Star Wars Celebration. It wasn't until about 8 months later when the Mandalorian and Grogu movie directed by Jon Favreau was announced, and that movie quickly became the one that will be released first, as Lucasfilm and Disney know that they have a hit on their hands with The Mandalorian, and it's pretty much guaranteed billions upon billions of dollars. But now, with that news of The Mandalorian and Grogu movie being the first Star Wars movie back on the big screen, that gives us two Mando-verse movies. As I just mentioned before, Dave Filoni is also getting to direct his own Mando-verse movie, and it will most likely be a direct sequel to the one Jon Favreau, his partner in crime, is working on right now. And let's be honest, Star Wars doesn't work like that. It's not just two movies that tell a story. It's trilogies. It's always been trilogies, from the originals to the prequels to the sequels. Yes, you have your one-off movies like Rogue One and Solo, but The Mandalorian is already confirmed to be getting two movies. So it would only make sense to give it a third. Make it a full-on Mando-verse trilogy. It would please a lot of the Star Wars community who is fans of the Legends trilogy, Heir to the Empire. The trilogy that follows our heroes of Luke, Leia, and Han as they're taking down the Heir to the Empire, Grand Admiral Thrawn. And it just so happens that the big blue meanie was introduced in Ahsoka last year, or at least introduced in live action. And now Thrawn has become a huge threat as he just made it back to the Star Wars galaxy we know and love, while leaving Ahsoka, Sabine, and Huge Wang stranded on Peridia. And without those heroes to stop the Empire from coming back, the galaxy now has to rely on a Mandalorian and his little green friend who can wield the Force. Honestly, guys, it seems like a Mandalorian trilogy is inevitable.
I am inevitable.
And this news being reported today that there won't be a Mandalorian season 4, 5, or 6 just backs up this claim even more. Because there is no way that they're just going to stop making content about Din Djarin and Grogu. They're two of the biggest characters ever created since Disney took over the company 12 years ago. So what looks like bad news on the surface might just be great news. Because who knows what could happen in this trilogy. Din Djarin specifically is connected to all these different heroes from Star Wars. The first 3 seasons of The Mandalorian made this very clear. He has connections to Mandalorians like Bo-Katan, but he's great friends with the legendary bounty hunter turned crime lord Boba Fett, and sent his little green friend off to train with Luke frickin' Skywalker. So when it comes to a Mando trilogy, the possibilities are endless. With Thrawn as your big bad, you can bring back all your favorite heroes from Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, Lando, Boba Fett, Bo-Katan, Cobb Vanth, Fennec Shand, all of them to come back and fight against the big blue meanie in a Mando-verse trilogy. But tell me what you think in the comment section below. Do you want a Mando-verse trilogy, or would you rather a Mandalorian season 4, 5, and 6? And are you excited for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that releases on May 22nd, 2026? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. And speaking of awesome new characters that could be in this trilogy, Cal Kestis is getting the 3rd installment of his Jedi games, but that 3rd installment will be the final one. But I explain all of that in this video right here.